So much like the Model T, Ford has a chance here to change the automotive landscape in a big way. Yet again. Yep, talking about the sales champion of America and arguably the best mass volume truck on earth. And it's gone electric and it could change everything. Okay, I'm sure if you're watching this, you already more or less kind of know about this thing, but for those of you that may have recently awoken from a coma, or if you're a new AI overlord that's just become self-aware, let's answer the question, what is this thing? Well, if you're unaware of what a Ford F-150 is, I don't know, this whole video is just going to be super confusing, and I wouldn't blame you if you just went off and watched some puppy videos, but anyway, as the name would indicate, this is an F-150, but it's just electric. So it obviously shares tons of pieces inside and out with the Dino Juice version, and why not, right? Ford sold like over, 700,000 F-150s last year, so yeah, people like it, and they've more or less cracked the formula, so why move away from that, right? Anyway, all F-150 Lightnings will be all-wheel drive, and there's 2 battery/motor combos to choose from depending on how much power and range you want, or how much you're willing to pay for. Oh, and I think we need to mention the frunk here. This frunk might be the biggest functional advantage over the gas-powered one, as this frunk is huge and it gives you some just really well-needed secure and lockable storage with this thing. So that's very cool. Alright, look, a little spoiler here. If you thought this thing was going to be the value leader against the likes of Rivian and Tesla, well, unfortunately, you're just wrong. Yeah, this thing is surprisingly expensive. I mean, much more than we had anticipated, actually, but look, then again, we'll be getting into all this pricing in a little bit. Alright, so there's basically 4 trims to choose from, and we'll be getting into each of these. Ford's calling the entry-level version the Pro, and yeah, that makes sense, as this is like the no-frills work truck version. And you'll be able to identify this version right away from the headlight design, as this is the only one that doesn't have that pretty cool crossbar baked in, and it's not a big deal, but it's kind of worth pointing out. So price-wise, this thing's gonna start a whisker under 40 grand, but keep in mind that all these prices we're gonna be talking about here, they're gonna be before Uncle Sam's help, which could actually amount to a pretty significant $12,500, although the future of the bill is a little bit uncertain now, so we're just gonna have to kind of wait and see. Anyway, let's start a build. So not a ton of options to get through with any of these, so we're gonna be building all of them, but first thing with the Pro model is color. Plenty of paint options to choose from, which is cool, and they're all no cost options except for the red. For some reason, Ford's charging about $500 for that privilege. Alright, so the Pro version is only available with the entry-level battery, and that's good for about 230 miles of range, and power is set at 426 horsepower and 775 pound-feet of torque. I'm actually kind of looking forward to testing this version because I'm kind of willing to bet that this is going to be plenty of power, with the only real issue being range maybe. But then again, how often do you rack up more than 230 miles of use in a day with a shop truck, right? And I'm guessing there's gonna be plenty of range for you guys that'll mostly be using this thing as a workhorse. And look, keep in mind that this, along with just about all EVs now, it's gonna have fast charging capabilities. So we've got 2 optional packages to look at, and they're both catered towards towing. So I'm not going to go into a ton of detail here because they can get a little complicated, and you won't technically need a tow package to actually tow things. It's just going to make things a lot easier. First up is the Max Trailer Tow Package, whose most significant change would be an upgrade to an electric locking rear axle, which will help big time in traction on slippery surfaces. Ford is asking another $900 for this. Well, not really. You see, to get this pack, you also need to drop another grand or so on the 9.6 kilowatt Pro Power onboard option. That's a mouthful, so what is it? Well, with this option, you'll be able to produce 2.4 kilowatts of power through the frunk and a combined 7.2 kilowatts of power in the bed and cabin outlets, allowing you to power much bigger things like small appliances or heavy-duty power tools. Most likely a grand well spent if you're actually going to be using this to do any work. Then there's the Tow Technology Pack for a cool $2 grand, and it's sort of all there in the name. Just a bunch of quality of life tech options that's going to make towing things just much more manageable. I think we'll pass on both these tow options for now. It's good that they're there if you need them, but I think we're going to go ahead and pick up that Power Pro option though. Now there's a whole bunch of random exterior options here, and there's even way more available aftermarket, seeing as this is still an F-150 after all, right? So a lot of these things designed for the gas version, they're also just gonna work on this. So we're gonna skip talking about all these bed liners and stuff here. All right, so onto the inside, and there's really not much to work with here. If you're going with the Pro model, you're getting gray vinyl on the inside with two-way manual controls for the seats, and that's pretty much all there is to it. Nothing special, but look, it's a work truck, right? All right, so that's the Pro, and this is also by far the cheapest way to get into one of these. Price-wise, we're looking at just under 43 grand or so, and that's before Uncle Sam's help. So you may be able to actually get one of these things all the way down into the low 30s before you're all said and done. And look, and for that, what do you get? You get okay performance and range with the pretty Spartan interior. All right, so next up, we're looking at the XLT. And look, I hate to say it, but everything here on is gonna get pretty spendy. Yep, no more deals or real value to be had, unfortunately, and prices are starting about 53 grand here. So you might be thinking, I mean, that sounds sort of reasonable, right? Well, buckle up, Buttercup, because this might be getting a little bit painful. So there's a lot of features and options available now, and Ford's calling out a few specifically. That signature front lighting, which is actually pretty cool. Then there's a 360 camera, and then there's work surface on the inside. All right, paint-wise, we're looking at the same options and pricing as the Pro. Yep, all colors are included except for that red again. Okay, now let's take a look at the battery situation, and this is where things start to really add up. This option wasn't available on the Pro model, but now we got the option to grab that bigger battery and stronger motors. So with the extended range battery, we're looking at a cool 300 plus miles of range. Oh, and power is up. How's 563 horsepower? Torque stays the same at that massive 775 pound-feet, which is cool. And look, I don't know, who doesn't want more range and power, right? Well, check it. This is gonna add $19,500 to the price. Yeah, you heard me right, 20 large. Ouch! All right, so what's going on here? All right, so the big battery and the 312A equipment group are married, sort of. You see, while you can get the 312A pack with the standard battery, you just can't get the big boy battery without also getting the 312A pack. All right, so jumping ahead a bit, this means that the absolute cheapest F-150 Lightning with the big battery is gonna run you just under 75 grand. Oh, and it comes with cloth seats at this price. Now, look, we're gonna be breaking down the pricing in a bit, but I think you can see how this thing is starting to get really expensive. All right, next up, we got the Lariat with a starting price of about 68 grand. Now you do get some nice stuff here, like that big 15.5-inch touchscreen, the power tailgate, heated, ventilated front seats, along with that heated steering wheel, along with, a few other things. Oh, and then there's the dusting of leather trim on the inside also. Paint-wise, we got a few more options. There's still plenty of no-cost choices here, but along with that $500 red paint option, we got the smoke quartz at 510 bucks, and then this tri-coat white for 800. So we're opting for the big battery with the XLT trim, gouged us for like 20 large. Here you can get the big battery and motor for an extra 10 grand. So not gonna go through all these little options. You can do that on your own for sure, but this thing is decently well equipped now, but then again, it sure ought to be because we're looking at about 80 grand. All right, so last up and sitting on the top of Trim Mountain here is the Platinum F-150 Lightning with a starting price of about 90 grand. So this is only offered with the big battery and motors, and yeah, that makes sense. And it also comes with just about everything, and that also makes sense. So obviously you get everything you could get from the Lariat, plus a whole bunch of stuff, like you get these big 22s and this premium Nirvana leather. I mean, it's a weird name, but whatever. So with a couple of options and add-ons, along with that destination charge, you may be even speccing this thing close to $100,000, which is a lot. I mean, which is a ton for an F-150, electric or not. And this is, I think, where we're starting to run into some issues. Okay, so look, maybe this is on me, but I don't think I'm alone here. I mean, I can't exactly tell you why, but I was more or less under the impression that I'd be able to score a pretty solid and decently well-equipped version of one of these for like, I don't know, like 60 grand maybe? Well, doesn't look like that's gonna happen. And look, as we went over, and if we don't really consider the Pro trim and we want the big battery, we're looking at like 75 grand for an F-150 that's really not that well equipped. And to get the one you really want, you're really looking north of 80 grand easily. All right, elephant in the room. Yeah, I'm talking about the Rivian R1T. You see the base battery's got a range of 314 miles here and decently well equipped. You're looking at like the mid to high 70s. So not sure if you've been keeping an eye on these guys, but the R1T is sort of just getting crazy good reviews everywhere. And hey, I mean, we're sort of big fans here at Gearbox Pizza as well. I don't know, maybe it's me, but if I'm dropping 80 grand on an electric truck, I'll definitely be taking a look at the R1T for sure. And look, I'm not saying it's a better truck than the F150 Lightning, but I'm sort of saying it's probably a better truck. But look, honestly, that all remains to be seen. Then you got the Cybertruck that, I don't know, may come out someday. And oh, and please, let's not forget about that canoe truck. That's honestly freaking super cool and way more affordable. Honestly, bang for your buck, it's kind of hard to see this canoe sort of not winning. I mean, seriously, are there that many people out there that are dropping 80 to 90 grand on a truck? I mean, not really in my circle. Anyway, so bottom line, I think we all know the F150 Lightning is going to be a very, very solid and capable truck. I mean, the Pro model might just be the best one to get if I'm being honest. I'm sort of disappointed at how damn expensive this thing has turned out to be. So what might have been the Model T of the electric revolution, well, I'm just kind of afraid it's turning out to be like a beauty queen for rich dudes that like driving trucks that don't really use trucks. I mean, hell, I might even consider a Raptor over one of those.